The first time I realized my company had turned my value into a prop, it was spelled in frosting. On the break room counter at Blue Cedar Metrics sat a cake in corporate teal. Congrats, Maya. People gathered with paper plates and careful smiles, the kind you wear when leadership is nearby. Grant Halstead, our president, clinked a spoon against a mug and pointed at me like he had discovered oxygen. Maya Brooks has been the heartbeat of CarePath, he said. Her model helped our hospital partners reduce preventable returns. This is what innovation looks like. My coworkers clapped first and loudest. They had watched me build CarePath while everyone else watched the quarterly slide deck. After the photos, Grant asked me to step into his corner office. He closed the door with gentle confidence, like he was about to hand me a promotion. Instead, he leaned back and gave me the practice smile. Maya, I appreciate your enthusiasm. But right now is not the ideal moment to discuss compensation adjustments. We need to focus on stability first. I slid a folder across his desk. It was not enthusiasm. It was math. CarePath had landed 12 hospital systems. It had saved renewals that were ready to leave. The model ran clean, explainable, and stable, because I made it that way. Grant did not open the folder. Success here is collaborative, Maya. We win together. Through the glass wall, I could see Dana Klein and Brett Harrow waiting nearby, both promoted for proximity to Grant rather than competence. Dana had a title. Brett had a handshake. I had the platform. Collaboration does not mean one person builds the engine while everyone else sells the hood ornament, I said. Grant blinked slow. That is a serious accusation. It is an observation, I said. One you have ignored for 3 annual reviews. Dana stepped into the doorway without knocking. Maya, let us not make this emotional. I smiled. Dana, you have never met an emotion you could not rename professional growth. Grant leaned forward. What do you want? I want the title you promised when CarePath shipped, I said. Director of Predictive Systems. I want pay aligned with impact, and I want it in writing. Grant sighed. We can revisit next cycle. Next cycle was where my raises went to disappear. I placed a sealed envelope on his desk. Plain white. No dramatics. What is that? He asked. My resignation, I said. Effective 2 weeks from today. Dana's face tightened. Maya, do not be hasty. I am not being hasty, I said. I am being punctual. You have been late to my value for 6 years. Grant's smile tried to return and failed. You cannot do this. We have clients depending on you. Then you should have treated me like a dependency before you treated me like a dessert topping, I said. I walked out without slamming anything. In the hallway, Priya from QA stared at me like I had just pulled a fire alarm. You deserve that role, she whispered. Everyone knows it. I nodded once. Keep your receipts, I told her. In the elevator, my hands shook, not from fear, from relief. In the lobby, a television loop played the celebration upstairs. Grant praising innovation. My name on a cake. When the elevator opened to the garage, my phone buzzed with an email from our largest client network. Urgent question about CarePath validation. For 6 years, I would have answered before the doors finished opening. I put the phone in my pocket and kept walking. Because for the first time, stability first meant mine. People assume I quit because I wanted a bigger paycheck. That was part of it. But the real reason was simpler. I was tired of being treated like an emergency tool that belonged in a drawer until someone needed saving. When I joined Blue Cedar Metrics at 25, we were a small healthcare analytics shop wedged above a yoga studio. Our product was a stack of spreadsheets wearing a suit. Clients paid us because they liked our confidence, not because our predictions were good. My first week, I asked where the data pipeline lived. Brett Harrow laughed. Pipeline? We have dashboards. Dashboards are paint. Pipelines are plumbing, I said. I rebuilt the plumbing anyway. I standardized hospital feeds, wrote validation checks, and automated reporting so client support could sleep at night. When a hospital CFO called Grant screaming about a broken report, Grant walked past my desk and said, "Maya, fix it. No greeting, no context, just panic." I fixed it. Then I sent leadership a postmortem. Dana replied with one line, "Great teamwork." That became the company religion. My work was the engine, everyone else was the choir. CarePath started as a single model for 30-day readmission risk. I built it because hospitals were bleeding money and patients were suffering for problems nobody could measure. I pulled in social factors and designed the model to explain itself, because a prediction without a reason is just superstition with better fonts. My coworkers knew what it took. Priya in QA ran test cases at midnight with me when vendor data changed formats. Jamal from infrastructure kept coffee hot and said, "You are doing 3 jobs, do not let them pretend you are lucky." Even Elise from client support would message, "Thank you, I did not get yelled at today." Leadership had a different habit. They celebrated wins and erased origins. Our biggest moment came with North River Medical Group, a network that would have doubled our annual revenue. A week before the final demo, the environment crashed. Models threw errors, dashboards showed blanks. Brett wanted to cancel, Dana wanted to blame the client. Grant called me at 12:11 a.m. "Maya, you are the only one who understands the architecture. We need you." I worked 32 hours straight, traced the failure to a corrupted mapping table, rewrote the pipeline, and stress-tested every edge case I could invent. At 4:06 a.m., the system stabilized. At 9 a.m., Brett walked into the demo and smiled like he had personally defeated entropy. North River signed a 3-year deal. Grant sent a company-wide email praising teamwork and strategic relationships. My name was not in it. Afterward, Grant told me in the hallway, "Keep this up and we will talk about your next step." Director track. Real leadership. 2 years later, that next step was still a hallway compliment. My salary stayed flat. Dana got a bigger office. Brett got a bonus for closing deals my work made possible. So I did what builders do when a structure will not respect its foundation. I started laying a new one. I published a technical paper on model integrity under my own name, with proper attribution, because I wanted the work to exist beyond office politics. I spoke at a regional symposium and went back to my normal schedule. Then, 8 days before the cake, a message landed in my inbox from a name I did not recognize. Dr. Soren Vale, Director of Algorithm Oversight, National Clinical Standards Council. Maya Brooks, I have been reading your work on explainable risk scoring. We are forming a new division to certify healthcare analytics platforms. I would like to speak with you about leading it. Blue Cedar had treated my work like a cost center that occasionally performed miracles. Someone else was offering me authority, not applause. I replied in 5 minutes. "Yes, I am available." The call with Dr. Soren Vale lasted 27 minutes and changed the direction of my life, like a clean lever. He did not ask if I could code. He asked how I proved a model was honest. "Hospitals are buying predictions they cannot interrogate," he said. "Patients pay the price. We are building a certification standard that forces transparency. I need someone who has done the work and survived the politics." 2 days later, he slid an offer across a restaurant table. Director of Algorithm Integrity, National Clinical Standards Council. My own team. Budget autonomy. Authority to write the benchmarks every vendor would have to meet. I asked for 2 weeks. Not to negotiate. To document. I refused to leave a crater for my coworkers to fall into. Back at Blue Cedar, my resignation turned the office into a house full of whispers. Grant avoided my desk for 1 day, then began sending cheerful emails with subject lines like, "Quick sync." I answered only facts, during business hours, in writing. Dana tried friendliness in the break room. "Maya, we are sad to see you go." I poured coffee. "Then you should have invested when I was still here." Brett tried flattery. "You are irreplaceable." "No one is irreplaceable," I said. But some people are expensive to undervalue. My coworkers did not hide their opinions. Jamal from infrastructure told me, they are going to call this teamwork, but you built the engine. Priya from QA left a sticky note. If they try to blame you, I will testify. On day 4, HR sent an invite titled Alignment Conversation. The room had too much glass and not enough honesty. Grant sat with Dana and Brett, all on one side. Grant opened with warmth. Maya, we reviewed your compensation concerns. We can offer a 30% increase effective immediately, plus a promotion. To what? I asked. Senior lead analyst, he said. I nodded once. Still not the role you promised. Director of Predictive Systems. Dana added. You would also be on the strategy committee. With voting power? I asked. Silence answered. Brett jumped in. We can match whatever you are being offered. You do not know what I am being offered, I said. Grant's smile tightened. We will beat it. Here is the problem, I said. You are negotiating with the inconvenience of losing me, not the value of keeping me. Grant asked, Where are you going? National Clinical Standards Council, I said. I will be writing the certification rules for healthcare analytics platforms. Dana went still. Brett swallowed. Grant tried to sound smooth. Congratulations. Thank you, I said. Good luck meeting the standards. That night I stayed late to finish documentation. Not for Grant, for Priya, Jamal, Elise, and the junior analysts who would be left holding the pager and the blame. I wrote runbooks, recorded walkthroughs, and left 2 folders on the shared drive. Read this first, and do not touch this without backup. On my last Friday, my team gathered with cupcakes because coworkers understand gratitude better than executives understand budgets. Elise hugged me and whispered, They should have made you president. I laughed. I would rather write rules than write excuses. When I handed my badge to HR, Grant appeared in the hallway like a man trying to look casual while drowning. No hard feelings, right? He asked. I met his eyes. I do not do feelings at work, Grant. I do outcomes. Then I walked out, and for the first time in 6 years, I did not carry Blue Cedar home with me. On my first day at the National Clinical Standards Council, the security guard handed me a badge that said Director, in the same calm font that used to say Analyst. The title felt less like status and more like armor. Dr. Vale introduced my team and our mission in one sentence. We do not do promises, we do proof. We started with a question that sounded simple and made vendors nervous. If your model makes a claim about a human body, can you show how it got there? Our certification program had 3 pillars. Integrity, you prove your data is clean and representative. Explainability, you prove your predictions have reasons a hospital can audit. Attribution, you prove who built what, with logs and timelines, so credit cannot be reassigned the way office chairs do. 8 weeks later, we published the standards. Responsible vendors asked for guidance. Shiny vendors complained about bureaucracy. Blue Cedar requested expedited review. I could not audit my former employer. Conflict policy was strict, but I could see the summary. CarePath had been modified after I left. The new model ran faster, but failed fairness checks. Documentation was incomplete. Validation logs were missing. The audit notes had one line that read like a quiet disaster. Provenance cannot be established for key modules. My phone rang at 7:14 p.m. It was Grant. Maya, he said, skipping greetings. We got the preliminary results. This is insane. All calls are recorded, I reminded him. We cannot meet these benchmarks, he said. Then improve your platform, I said. We need you. You know the system. I looked at the standards document on my screen, with my name and dozens of other names beneath it. I am not assigned to your audit, Grant. If you want to dispute the ruling, file it formally. This is personal, he said. No, I said. This is measurable. 2 days later, I spoke at the Midwest Health Data Summit about the new rules. When I stepped off stage, Dana and Brett found me in the hallway like two sales reps chasing a closing door. Dana smiled too hard. Maya, fantastic talk. We should connect. You need something, I said. She lowered her voice. We are exploring outside consultants. Advisory only. Conflict policy, I said. Also, no. Brett tried bargaining. We will give you full control. Name your price. I looked at him. Brett, you could have given me respect when it was cheap. Grant arrived, face tight. If we lose certification, we lose clients. Hundreds of jobs. Then you should have stopped treating integrity like an optional feature, I said. 3 days after the summit, a formal complaint hit our external review panel. Blue Cedar alleged bias and standards manipulation, claiming I had used insider knowledge to target them. Dr. Vale did not flinch. Protocol, he said, full transparency package. By noon, we compiled tracked revisions, meeting notes, external peer reviews, legal sign-offs, and public comment summaries. Thousands of pages. The panel meeting lasted 19 minutes. Their claims collapsed under documented reality. Complaint dismissed. The fallout did not stop at our office door. Within a week, Blue Cedar hospitals asked for disclosure letters. 2 clients paused renewals until full certification returned. Internal rumors reached me through texts from Priya and Jamal. Emergency meetings, frantic spreadsheet audits, leadership asking questions they should have asked years ago. A month later, Dr. Vale forwarded me a short public notice. Blue Cedar Board had opened an internal review of governance and product claims. In corporate language, it was called process improvement. In human language, it was called who lied and who signed. I did not celebrate. I went back to work. But the industry learned a new phrase, and it tasted like justice. Public record. 6 months after we published the standards, the most common email in my inbox was not anger. It was gratitude. A junior data scientist would write, "My manager tried to list himself as lead. The new attribution requirement forced commit logs." Thank you. A compliance officer would write, "Our vendor finally documented their training data." Thank you. Truth is not always kind, but it is stable. We refined the program into something the industry could not dodge. The provenance ledger, a standardized package of code ownership records, model lineage, validation outputs, and change history, signed by both engineering and leadership. If a company wanted certification, they had to show their work. Blue Cedar did not want to show their work. They wanted to show results and hide the hands that made them. They submitted again, slower, quieter. This time they passed the integrity checks after weeks of remediation. They still failed attribution. The auditors could not reconcile their marketing claims with their build history. Modules appeared without traceable authorship. Documentation described features that did not exist. Their provisional status became a warning label. On a Tuesday morning, Dr. Vale called me into his office. Blue Cedar is requesting an alternative path, he said. They want to adopt the provenance ledger program fully and publish retroactive credit statements. They are also asking to join our ethics partner list. I stared at him. They want to apologize, he said carefully, publicly, on paper. I thought of the cake, the pen tapping, the word stability used like a muzzle. I also thought of Priya and Jamal and Elise, still there, still working under the same ceiling. What does adoption require? I asked. Dr. Vale slid a checklist across the desk. Full product attribution, named contributors, updated marketing, signed governance policy, a public statement acknowledging prior omissions, a third-party audit for 2 years. I read the line that mattered most. Individual contributions must be named, documented, and credited in product materials and internal records. Do it, I said. Make them do it. The announcement went live 3 weeks later. Blue Cedar Metrics joined the Provenance Ledger program and issued a public correction regarding care path origin and development. My name appeared in the first paragraph, not as a footnote, not as a vague team reference, but as the lead architect. Dana and Brett were not mentioned. Grant was listed as on leave pending board review. Priya texted me a screenshot with one word: finally. A month after that, Priya sent another message. I got an offer elsewhere. Your standards gave me the courage to leave. I stared at the message longer than I expected. Revenge stories love a dramatic downfall, a security escort, a hallway scene. Real revenge is quieter. It is the moment someone else chooses themselves because the rules finally back them up. I spoke again at the next Midwest Summit, but this time the room felt different. Executives took notes. Engineers sat taller. When I said, attribution is not vanity, it is accountability, people nodded like they had been waiting for permission to agree. After the talk, a woman in a navy blazer approached me with tired eyes and a hopeful smile. I built a clinical model at my company, she said. They named a manager on it. I do not know what to do. I handed her my card. Document everything. Keep your logs. You are not difficult. You are precise. That is the part nobody tells you early in your career. Competence is not enough. You also need a record of it, a way to make truth portable. Blue Cedar once told me to focus on stability first. Now I write the standards that decide what stability means, and I will never let another builder be turned into frosting again.